Perfection of wisdom, mother of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings, nourishing, holding, and healing all, great Mother Earth, precious jewel of the cosmos, to you we bow in gratitude. We take refuge in the earth as our teacher, the one who shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the earth as an expression of the Dharma, the teachings of interbeing, understanding, and love. We take refuge in the earth as an embodiment of the Sangha, the vast, interdependent community of life in balance and harmony. Living within the web of life on earth, we dedicate ourselves to embodying awakened awareness on the path of healing in service to all beings. We dedicate our lives to realizing our oneness with Gaia. The four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. This precious human form is difficult to obtain and embodies opportunities and resources. Give us the energy to realize its potential. It is uncertain when death and impermanence will strike. Give us the energy to live a life of no regret. The laws of the way things are work internally. Give us the energy to live without shame. Suffering is present in all six realms. Give us the energy not to take birth in these states. The reliable and definite refuges are the three jewels. Give us the energy to trust them. The six kinds of beings are as kind as our parents. Give us the energy for loving kindness and compassion. In the end, our mind is nothing but being as truth. Give us the energy to attain a stable understanding.
So today's talk is going to come from Dharma in Daily Life with Stephen Fulder, who is a practitioner who lives in northern Israel and has been living through the war there. And so most of what I'm going to be sharing is his insights from applying mindfulness to this, being in the middle of this reality that we're all aware of. And as we continue to recognize and liberate ourselves from the impulse to express from reactivity, we strengthen a sense of wholeness which frees us. And we become able to interact with others without engaging the power struggles that arise from a lot of what came through patriarchy of the victim-tyrant consciousness. And in reflecting more deeply, on victim-tyrant, especially in light of war and listening to Stephen Fulder's words, I realized that the truth is that life is filled with traumatic experiences and very real events beyond our control victimize us. And so I want to continue considering together what it is that gives us the power and liberates us from being, after we've been victimized, what gives us the ability to re-identify outside of being the victim or the perpetrator, because, you know, once we have been hurt or have caused hurt, sometimes we stay identified. And just recognizing, which I know you all know, that both sides need healing and awakening to emerge into heart consciousness. And so I'm so grateful that Joan sent me this talk. It was just like so perfect. And it's a beautiful example of how we all weave this together. Let's see. Stephen started out by saying that hearing the sound of bombs dropping on a daily basis, he shared how his nervous system continues to react to the field of violence, even when he can find his center and hold an inner calm. And I found that really interesting because I have worked, you know, with mindfulness, and I also have times that my nervous system freaks out, even though I'm using mindfulness. And so I thought he said it very clearly. And he sees that the violence that took place on October 7th in 2023 was really a wake-up call. But along with the rest of the world, he continues to witness the triumph of reactivity unfolding with ever increasing suffering. And he pointed out how Israel's reactive response of war is not increasing their security, even though it's what he says every conversation in the street is about. And in order to wake up, he has come up with a series of questions, which I will share. And he asks, what are the paths we have not taken which will lead to security? And what are the seeds of peace that haven't been sown? And caught in reactivity rather than waking up to the new possibilities, we are asked to become aware of the stories and narratives that we are constructing, and noticing what labels we are using for ourselves and for others. And when we identify with being a victim, we magnetically draw the tyrant and perpetrator towards us. And we also tend to enact the perpetrator unconsciously, because the two always exist together. They're like one dance. And night before last, I went to this beautiful gathering for Nema Namadamu, who is the woman who took Cynthia through Congo. And she is a powerhouse and is accomplishing so many beautiful things for Congo. And she is a handicapped woman who had polio as a child, and it's very difficult for her to walk. And what she says is, I am a person who is handicapped. She says, I am not a handicapped woman. I am a woman who lives with a handicap. And I just thought that was such a beautiful statement. And so I was thinking about this. So I was thinking one thing that can lead us out of victimization is to say, I'm a person who has experienced victimization. I am not a victimized person. That we're reaching for our wholeness. And Stephen asks us to be aware of where we are focusing our attention. And I think this is true for all of us, because as he pointed out, there's a lot of strife going on in the US as well as in Israel, Palestine, and other parts of the world. And where we place our attention increases the growth of what we're giving our attention to. And he says, when we are in fields of conflict, which we all are, Our attention tends to get hijacked by endless media, endless points of view, endless disputes. And so he's asking if we can notice the stories that we're taking on without being conscious of them. And can we question them? And not just decide whether we agree with them or not agree with them. And then he just really stated, I have the power to bring my attention back to what is helpful, meaningful, wholesome, and open-hearted. I have the power to do that. And I think that's very beautiful. I really appreciate that. And it's what we have to do, because we lose attention or we start giving it in areas we don't want to, but we need to bring it back, and that we do have the power to bring it back. And he says, in responding to the wake-up call, we don't need to silence the voices of fear, insecurity, worry, or anger. He says doing so increases the inner conflict that we live in. We need to let these feelings have space, but not give them the power to build stories of me being a victim, or stories of helplessness, stories of revenge, or stories of them and us. We choose not to go in the directions that give legitimacy to the fear, to more insecurity and anger. And he talked about that we can give space to our feeling and emotion without empowering them and building our reality out of them. We can choose to let go of the stories and views circling around us and instead witness this amazing life that is in each of us and in our world. And this is pretty amazing, coming from someone who's hearing bombs going off daily. And it's really using the practice to step out of reactivity. And he goes on to say that the challenge of the wake-up call is to allow our difficulties, our losses and suffering to lead to kindness and compassion. We can set the intention to not cancel out the pain, but to allow it to open our hearts and melt the limits of compassion. I really liked that phrase, melt the limits of our compassion, to allow our compassion to include them too. And seeing the humanity of another is the inner work that leads us to act. Seeing another's humanity comes with listening and with the power to trust that melts silence and distance. Trust that melts silence and distance. And he spoke about how waking up is an experience of openness, a sense of being open-minded and open-hearted. And it requires seeing another person with compassion, and to see others, even if we don't agree with anything that they say, that there is, and he was just talking about how there's so much dispute and conflict in the streets there, and that you're just being confronted all the time with people who have different points of view. And he's really talking about being able to stay present to that. And I feel like, here in the United States, the polarization that's happening just over our president presidential candidates. When I start to go there, it feels like I'm just taking hold of an electric power line. There's just so much energy and fear, and boy, talk about reactivity. It's like, Anyway, Stephen goes on to say that compassion is the answer. And in compassion, we see the life of another. Even if we don't agree with them, and even if we are afraid of them. If we have been formed through their life experience, we would have arrived at the very same point of view that they have arrived at. And that is an insight that comes with compassion. And he says, when the world goes to pieces, it really helps to look at the bigger Dharma picture. And he says, the first thing to remember is samsara is not fixable. We all want to fix samsara to undo the pain, and we cannot. As the Buddha said, samsara has been here since the beginning of time, and so has nirvana. We each have Buddha nature, and though we may not be able to find it immediately in every situation, we all have a big open being inside of us. And we're able to touch this at certain times in our lives, like when we're walking in the beauty of nature or looking into the vastness of the night sky, And what he suggests is that we need to allow our Buddha nature in us and the human nature in us to have a dialogue. We need to let them flow into one another and let them talk with each other. And as we align with the bigger picture, with the universal point of view, the life point of view, we will know what to do and we will know where to go. The bigger view will tell us what to say and will let us know how to work with somebody who is shouting at us and has a different point of view. And with awareness of the bigger view, the bigger than us view, our heart will tell us what to do, and we can trust it.
I'll now offer a reading of a poem by Cynthia West titled, "No One Can Make This Journey Alone." Only we fools, who have dived into the fire in the heart of the atom, who have become white ash, who have been scrapped up, kneaded, turned on the wheel by the hands of the potter, only we have merged into the one vessel that can achieve the mountain peak. Carrying each other, reminding friends they can leap over stones, we refuel muscles for impossible feats. It takes time beyond the limits of years to gain the far summit. It takes love beyond bodies, mind beyond thoughts, faces beyond the need to know who we are.